this is all done. Watching my valedictorian speech from 4 years ago. We are young, and again, life is a journey full of possibilities. My jaw dropped when I heard that. It's time to get loud. Welcome back to Loud Talk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. I'm so happy that you're here. If you are watching on YouTube, highly recommend. Hi. If you are listening in on Apple, Spotify, or any other streaming platform, I highly recommend that you watch this episode on my YouTube channel at Loud Talk with Lavi, since we will be watching my graduation speech today from 2019. And I have the video, which I'll be putting up on the screen with it. So this might be a good episode to watch on YouTube so you can see the original speech. Now, I have not seen this in 4 years since I graduated, so this will definitely be interesting. I guess it'll be 5 years, almost 5 years, since this video. So I graduated high school in 2019, and I got to be my class's valedictorian, which was obviously a really great honor for me, and something that I'm still very proud of to this day. But actually, ever since doing the speech, I never went back to watch the video, listen to the speech, anything like that. I think it was so ingrained in my mind since I spent so much time practicing it, but I never actually went back and listened to it in like this whole 4-year period. So I'm really interested to see, what I said in it, because some parts I don't even remember. I'm interested to kind of reflect on some of my thoughts and what I think about my overall presentation 4 years later, because I think I've grown as a presenter since then for sure. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I think this was, a great milestone for me, even in just my presentation skills. I'm very grateful to the teacher who recommended me and put me forward for valedictorian. To this day, I still think about that and how that kind of projected me on the path I am today. So I'm a little nervous to listen to this. I know that most of the speech was around journey and, the journeys we walk through life and the importance of our journey, our individual journeys, and how they kind of lead us to our destination. And so I actually based my graduation valedictorian speech off of a Drake quote, which was, "Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination." This was the main theme of my quote, and this is what I built the speech off of, which was, it was about 10-minute speech. So what I'm thinking for this podcast is we're going to listen to the speech, watch the speech if you're watching on YouTube all together. I'm not really going to say anything, and then we're going to go in and break it down and analyze it throughout. So that way, anyone who just wants to watch the speech fully, you can watch this part of the podcast, and then I'll go into my analysis. But I'll put a timestamp if you're watching on YouTube of when everything is. So let's just get started. I'll just press play here.
Lavinia Rusanda. Lavinia is a very successful student at Centennial. She's completing a very rigorous academic program in addition to being part of the cosmetology apprenticeship program. She has her own YouTube channel with over 9,000 subscribers and 1.5 million views. She is one of 30 students that has been accepted to the program of Engineering and Business at the U of C. I am very, very pleased to step back from the podium and allow her to speak.
Love you, sweetie!
Good afternoon, parents, faculty, and friends, and welcome to Centennial High School's graduation celebration of 2019. I would like to start off by expressing my appreciation towards all the teachers, parents, and friends that have supported my fellow classmates and I and helped us get to where we are today. I would also like to thank my classmates for going through this adventure of 3 years with me. I remember coming into high school and everyone told me that it was going to be the best time of my life and possibly one of the worst. We We were all shocked by the amount of work and change in atmosphere. Now I'm sure we all got a bit lost on our first days, walking into a Monday first period class on a Tuesday, getting trampled in the hallway during the chaos of class change, or getting caught up in the stairwell because people cannot walk the traffic flow, making us late to class. I know we were all there at one point, but even though we may have been going towards different classes, we are all experiencing a similar journey. You see it in the movies and on TV, people talk about how amazing high school is, and I was so excited to get to know new people, try out different options, and to find my passions. But what I came to realize was whether your expectations of high school were fulfilled or not, I'm sure all of us have come up with our own unique learning experience. We've come so far. Each and every one of us has come so far. We've met each other, as well as amazing staff and teachers that have changed our learning experiences forever. One thing that has really stayed with me through high school was the fact that even though we're all going on different paths towards different journeys, we all walk the same hallways. We walk together as parents, going to classes, trying to figure out how to stay awake for 80 minutes. Now, for someone who cares about their grades, I found myself striving to retain so much information, wanting to get a certain grade on a midterm and to achieve the standard I set for myself. Sometimes I would find myself trapped in a never-ending routine of school or work and life in general. Instead of spending time creating unforgettable memories throughout my time in high school, I let all my energy fall into such routines. Now, some of you may be familiar with such feeling of self-imposed confinement, as if you've worked so hard to maintain your responsibilities, but let time fly without cherishing it. I realized I wasn't even learning anything from my classes. I was just working to memorize for a certain exam. Although this method helped me achieve my academic goals, it caused me to become lost when thinking about my future, as I wasn't sure what classes truly interested me. Now we all get wrapped up in these standards that society sets for us, telling us that if we don't get good grades and don't go to secondary, we failed at life. But as we fulfill our own achievements in our lives, we learn that many of us take very different journeys to find our own meaning of success, rather than shaping our lives based on the values of society. It wasn't until I took a physics class where I began to understand the material rather than just memorize it. Although that was one of the most challenging classes I'd ever taken, thanks to Ms. Rusanda, I learned so many problem-solving skills and so many reasons why knowledge and understanding surpass the mark on the test. As you go through life, you will find your passions, which lead you towards your own future. For myself, I found my passion through my love for makeup and creating a YouTube channel to help others learn about the best techniques and products. I also continue to explore my interests in the cosmetology apprenticeship program and other academic subjects. We all obtain various talents that take us on our own personal journeys. Even though most of us aren't the best at parking, proven by the chaos in the parking lot every morning, we all have our own talents. That may vary from one another, but that doesn't make our opportunity to reach success any different. In my English class this year, we read a poem called Atrophy by Julia Corpus, and one line really stuck with me. It said that we are all bits of energy that gleam with infinite possible gestures. And that statement really stood out to me because it's true. We define our own version of success by creating those our own skills. Society cannot tell you nor anyone that your opportunity for success is limited, because it is ultimately up to you to create your success in your life based on the infinite possibilities that you have. We are all unique with different goals and aspirations, so of course we have different accomplishments. Just imagine how uninspiring would the world be if everyone walked the same path. I mean, it would get crowded pretty fast. But luckily, it's not like that. We live different lives with different achievements that define our progress. Now, I know it is cliche to say that you can do anything you put your mind to. And although in a perfect world, it'd be pretty awesome if you could. Like imagine just setting your mind towards something and instantly achieving it. But in real life, that is not the case. The thing is, there are obstacles and there are conflicts that hinder us from achieving our goals. But the way each and every one of us chooses to overcome such conflicts allows us to learn and to grow as people. Even though there are elements keeping us from reaching our goals immediately, nothing is impossible if we're dedicated to knocking down every closed door that comes your way. Even though we're standing here today, coming from very different backgrounds, very different life experiences, and very different journeys, we have all shared the experience of barriers in life. But as we struggle to surpass these roadblocks that are in the way of our goals, your journey is ahead. For many of you, maybe you have post-secondary plans. I know I do, but that was not always the case. If you're still figuring out what you want to do later in life, that's totally okay. We are young, and again, life is a journey full of possibilities. That we have time to focus, reflect, and grow as individuals to really understand what we need to become. I have a quote for you, and this is one of my favorite artists, one that I listen to in times of excitement and even times of stress. Drake once said, "Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination." We all have some sort of journey, long-term or short-term goals that we're pursuing in life. We may not know what our final destination is, but through these many journeys, we learn more about ourselves. I wanted to become a teacher, then a lawyer, then an architect, until I decided on engineering. The amount of times I changed my mind scared me, as I was worried I would never be able to find my passion. But throughout my time in high school, I started to realize that people say it is the most amazing, most important time of your life. During these 3 years, you grow and learn so much about yourself. And yes, there may have been times where you focused on the standards that society sets for us, rather than the true purpose of it all. But we must reflect back and realize that at the end of the day, all that matters are the actions and the meaning of our stories and how they have shaped our lives. That's what makes us the people we are. Although we walk very different journeys, we all grew up thinking that the world is our oyster, thinking that we grow up to become an astronaut or a fairy princess or the king of the world. But as we got older, we began to realize that this may not be what actually happens. You might think that children are oblivious to the harsh realities of the world, but you do have infinite possibilities. Who you want to be is who you should strive to become. So come back to the mindset you may have had watching your favorite cartoon character make their dreams come true. There will be conflicts and changes in your path, and you may lose your passion. But it is so crucially important to come back, reflect, and continue fighting for your dreams. As you take steps towards your goals, you will stumble upon other open doors that may change your destination along the way. But that's life. Nothing is set in stone, and the actions we take change your outcomes day by day. We hold the power to create the path we want to walk on. And as we cross difficult bridges, we become stronger and learn more about ourselves and the places we're striving to reach. We are a class of bright, passionate, dedicated students, talented artists, brilliant musicians, strong athletes, and creative minds that have endless possibilities. We hold so many talents like singing and dancing during karaoke battles in the cafeteria, pouring our hearts into raising money through events like Rockathon, giving our all to become city champions and award-winning musicians, or even turning a flood in the parking lot into our own personal lake for tubing. I guess we're just that great. If you know me personally, you know that I'm in love with math. I could honestly do math problems night and day. One of my favorite analogies for life is referring to absolute value. If you aren't a crazy mathy like me, don't worry. Our trusty, know-it-all friend Google defines absolute value as the distance a number is from zero, disregarding the direction. Putting this into the perspective of our lives, we are all numbers on that number line, and our starting points are all different. And yes, in life we may go in either direction, but maybe it's time to start focusing on the lessons we learn from each journey in both directions, because all that matters is the distance we are away from where we started. We are all at different places in our lives, of course, but as a collective, we have gone here today. We have made it through 12 years of school through hard work, dedication, unforgettable memories, laughter, and of course, many, many tears. I know that in every graduation speech, people say that this is the beginning of our journeys, but it truly is. The diploma that will be in your head soon is just another stepping stone in our path across the river of life, and it is our journey. Each of us taking that step. Isn't that just incredible? However way you got to where you are sitting today, you have done it. Although we have our own unique stories and identities, together we make up Centennial High School's class of 2019. The one and only class of 2019 at Cent. Now if that's not amazing, I don't know what is. So let us take this moment, appreciate ourselves for our hard work, for our high school accomplishments, and for all the amazing possibilities to come. Our futures will lead us towards various unknown destinations, but let us not forget our time together, our memories, growth, and achievements at Centennial High School. Congratulations to us all. We deserve it.
my gosh. I'm like getting a little bit emotional here. Okay, so I actually dug up my old graduation speech, which is the handwriting, which again, have not looked at this, or obviously this was the first time hearing my speech this long. You can see if you're watching on YouTube, like all the notes I have on here, and these are like not in order, but let's just start with this. First of all, I have like a little bit of like chills because I feel like a lot of what I talked about, I still relate to not only, and I kind of shocked myself with some things. I'm like, how was I even thinking those things at that age? I was 17 in that video, and I just turned 22, and I applaud the girl in that video because it feels like I was almost watching someone else and just nodding and agreeing with everything she was saying. And I'm very, very proud of that young lady and how she was able to take on some of those words. Yeah, I feel a little choked up, to be honest, listening to that, because there was so much in there that really, really kind of caught my attention right away that I want to just deep dive into. So let's just go through this. So first off, I get introduced by the principal, who did mess up my name, but that's not a big deal. A lot of people do. But he mentions Lavinia Rusanda has 9,000 subscribers on YouTube. And today I am sitting at 160,000 subscribers. That made me, I think you can see in the video reaction too, like my jaw dropped when I heard that, because you forget how far you come sometimes. And 4 years ago, I was sitting at 9,000 subscribers, and today I'm at 160,000. And sometimes you don't take the time to reflect on your progress and really, just take that time to be like, yes, I have done this. I have come this far from here to here. And sometimes it feels like I've always just had 160,000 subscribers, and whatever that is in your life. So hearing that made me kind of like flash into reality and be like, I did that, So it's sometimes good to reflect on the past in that way and kind of really look at those like quantities and like measurable results to show you what you have been able to accomplish. And that was really crazy to hear. Second thing, he mentioned I was going into a dual degree in engineering and business. I am now in my 4th year. I have 1.5 years left, and being at this stage of my degree, again, it just feels like these years have gone by so fast. But back then I remember being so excited for, going into university and this new journey. So it was really nice to see that. And looking at my notes here on my speech, it actually says storytell at the top, and then it says tell your story, Lavi, which I wrote out, and I put an exclamation marks. I also wrote on here story from the heart, which I think was a good reminder for myself to, just remember, tell this speech from the heart, because I wrote it from the heart. I actually wrote this speech once I found out that, I was in the running for this. I sat down and I literally, it was like a mini podcast at the time. I didn't have a podcast then. I didn't have any other social media than YouTube actually then. So I only had YouTube that I had been working on. But what I did is I actually went on my computer and I recorded myself, and I just stood up in my room, in my bedroom, and started speaking from the heart about my experience through high school, my thoughts on, journeys, societal standards about success and where you're supposed to go after high school, and these pressures to be academically successful and go to post-secondary and all that. I just spoke from the heart on that, and that is how I constructed this speech, because I actually took that voice recording, typed it all out, and then from there constructed those ideas into my speech. So it was really just like how I sit here and talk about everything that I feel. So that is really cool to kind of reflect back on, because now I have this podcast where I can storytell in that way. But it's nice to kind of look back on that. So I start off by, obviously introducing everyone, thanking everyone for being there. And then I talk about the chaos that kind of comes with grade 10, saying, I remember coming into high school, everyone told me that it was going to be the best time of my life and possibly one of the worst. I think we do see, these expectations of what high school will be like, where it's like the craziest time and blah, blah. I personally didn't really experience that, but it definitely was a very transformative period for myself. And I think we have these expectations of what it will be like. It said we were all shocked by the amount of work, change in atmosphere. Now I'm I'm sure we all get a bit lost on our first days, walking into a Monday first period class on a Tuesday, getting trampled in the hallway during the chaos of class change, or getting caught up in the stairwell because people cannot walk with traffic flow, making us late to class. So just reflecting on, those very lost days, which I think can apply to a lot of things in life. First day of a job, first day in a new city, like you just feel a little lost and like a little, newborn chicken in a huge world where everyone seems to have their shit together. So that's definitely cool to reflect on. And then I kind of related it to what you see, on TV, where people romanticize high school in this way where it's so exciting and everyone meets their bestest of friends and all of that. And I said, but what I came to realize was that whether your expectations of high school were fulfilled or not, I'm sure all of us have come out with our own unique learning experience. So I feel like I didn't have, the most amazing, intense high school experience that I can look back on, but like, it was still a very transformative time of my life. And, doing things like this speech or doing the cosmetology program or all my courses were still memories that I hold very true to my heart. I actually visited a high school the other day that had a cosmetology program, and I went into their salon, and it brought back so many memories for myself because I was a cosmetology student, and seeing all of that, I was like, oh, that was such good times, just pure good times. So I loved, reminiscing on that. So I said, one thing that has really stayed with me through high school was the fact that even though we were all going on different paths towards different journeys, we all walked the same hallways. And I think it's important to recognize that us as people, although we have a lot of the same experiences, right? Look at even siblings, right? Who grow up in the same high school, literally walk the same halls of their house, maybe go to the same schools, do the same activities. We all end up so differently, and we all walk that journey a little bit differently, right? So I'm happy I was able to recognize that back then as well. And so we walked together as coyotes, going to classes, trying to figure out how to stay awake for 80 minutes. My school, mascot was a coyote, so we were the coyotes. Okay, this is an interesting part I want to talk about, and I even labeled it as my rant in my speech. And I said, now, for someone who cares about their grades, I found myself striving just to retain so much information, only to get a certain grade on a midterm and to achieve the standard that I set for myself. Which, to give you a bit of background, the standard that I had set for myself all throughout my high school career, all throughout my, school career in general, was I want to get the highest grade possible. If that highest grade possible is 100, I should be getting that. And every time I wouldn't kind of reach that, I would feel disappointed in myself, like I should have done more, I should have put in more effort. And I said here, sometimes I would find myself trapped in a never-ending routine of school or work and life in general. Instead of spending time creating unforgettable memories throughout my time in high school, I let all my energy fall into such routines. This is a very powerful statement to myself because I've actually worked on this a lot since high school, and I do not put nearly as much energy as I did into school now as I did back then. I still care about school. I'm in a very rigorous degree right now with engineering and business, but I would say a lot more of my energy goes towards my work life, things I'm passionate about. Not saying I'm not passionate about school, but you know what I mean? Like I don't kill myself over if I get a bad grade once in a while. I don't, lose it if I get an 80 instead of 100. I always say now I would rather be an A- student and feel like I'm living life rather than an A+ student and have no social life and always be buried in my textbooks. So I think I've grown a lot from that, and now I don't put as much significant value on school because I think there's so many other things that actually make you valuable as a person. Obviously your brain and your talents and your smarts and all of that do create value for you as a person, but I don't think that is necessarily perfectly reflected from a grade on a test. I think there's other ways to account for that, and I think that is one factor that sometimes a lot of us people who look for academic validation put way too much pressure on that one mark rather than the bigger picture. So I'm very happy that I've come a long way from there. Then I went on to say, now, some of you may be familiar to such feeling of self-imposed confinement. Wow. That's powerful. As if you have worked so hard to maintain your responsibilities, but let time fly without cherishing it. This is kind of how I felt after high school because I'm like, okay, this whole high school thing was like the stepping stones for me to get into a good university, keep my grades high and everything. And then looking at the end of it, standing there in front of thousands of people saying this speech, I was like, wow, this is all done. My high school experience is all over, and it flew by like this because I don't think I was taking the time to really live in the moment, cherish the memories, because I was like just going day to day, let's get these high grades, let's study, let's get this class done with. And maybe I think I've done that a bit with university too. I'm trying more to live in the moment of that, but you can definitely get into those routines, especially when you're in school, of like, let's just get this over with so I can move on with my life, rather than like living your life during that time. And it's stressful, especially when a lot of us are applying to schools and all of that. I realized I wasn't even learning anything from my classes. I was just working to memorize for a certain exam. I think that's important too, because I, look back even at my university career, and it's like, for some classes you just have to get by them and you don't actually take the time to like focus on what you're learning in it. So I think we all are a bit guilty of that. Although this method helped me achieve my academic goals, it caused me to become lost when thinking about my future, as I wasn't sure what classes truly interested me. Now, when I was in like grade 10, grade 11, I really did not know what I wanted to do after school. I know I liked physics, science, maths. I wasn't as big into like the humanities, English, social studies, but I was a very like math, science person. I really enjoyed those courses, and I definitely had, a business drive with, of course, trying to do this whole YouTube thing, but I didn't really think that would end up being a career for myself. And it's crazy to think that I'm sitting in a position now where that is my job full time. It's really, really strange. But I really did not know what I wanted to do after university. I thought maybe I will just go, into business because that kind of interests me. I never thought I'd go into engineering because honestly, I didn't really know what engineering was, and I thought we just build bridges, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And it wasn't until my high school physics teacher, which was actually the person who nominated me for this valedictorian position, who asked me if I wanted to go to this engineering job shadow for the day, and I did. And since then, that kind of set me on my path to go into engineering. So I truly think that the people you meet and the experiences that you have are there for a reason. And I'm still so grateful to that day, because I don't think I'd be maybe here in this engineering program without that teacher. So yeah, very grateful for that. Then I said, now we all get wrapped up in the standards that society sets for us, telling us that if we don't get good grades and don't go to post-secondary, we failed at life. But as we fulfill our own achievements in our lives, we learn that many of us take different journeys to find our own meaning of success, rather than shaping our lives based on the values of society. Okay, this made my jaw drop a little bit when I was listening back to this, because I talk so much about standards in society, mostly beauty standards, just on this podcast. This whole podcast is about breaking down the walls of beauty standards, but really it's about breaking down the walls of societal standards in general. And in this time in my life, I was really focused on that feeling of success, feeling like I'm not doing enough, right? And am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the right academic path? Are my grades high enough, right? So I felt that societal pressure of, go to school, graduate, go to post-secondary, get a good job. And I still feel that pressure today of, am I not successful enough? Am I doing the right thing, not going into a traditional job and pursuing social media and pursuing this more untraditional, entrepreneurship career? But the thing is, you can't get so honed in on what society's expectations of success is. You really have to listen to what your definition is and define that success for yourself, and rather than have it, defined for you. And I even said here, it wasn't until I took this physics class that I began to understand the material rather than just memorize it. And I learned these problem solving skills and reasons for why my knowledge and understanding was more important than just getting that A on a test. So I definitely had a lot of learning and reflection in here. Then I went on to talk about a bit about myself and my passions. I said, for myself, I found my passion through my love for makeup and creating a YouTube channel to help others learn about the best techniques and products. And that's still what stands with me today so much. My channels, my podcast, my TikTok, my Instagram, it's all to just help people become a more confident version of themselves. And back then, my channel was more focused on like actual beauty product reviews, which I still focus on today, but I think that idea has evolved from me, not just helping people find the best concealer for themselves, but finding the best concealer and feeling the most confident in your skin. So I've definitely had growth in that aspect of my life as well. And then I said, I also continue to explore my interest through the cosmetology apprenticeship program and other academic subjects. We all obtain various talents that take us on our personal journeys. Even though most of us aren't the best at parking, proven by the chaos in the parking lot every morning, we all have our unique talents that may vary from one to another, but that doesn't make our possibilities to reach success any different. I had to throw in a little joke there, kind of cringe when I look back at it now with the parking thing, but I don't know, it's what I thought of at the time. But the idea behind that is that, we may have things that we're bad at, but we all have unique talents that take us to our version of success. My boyfriend actually has this poster thing that he put up in his room that we thrifted, and it's an Albert Einstein quote that says, it's something about, I can't remember it verbatim, but it's something about how, you can't really tell a fish that it's bad at climbing, right? Like, a fish is not meant to climb a tree. It's a fish. So you have to think about that with us as people. We compare ourselves to other people doing other things, but they have different talents that you may not have. But then you also have different talents that that person might not have. So it's a really good reminder for sure. Then I actually talked about my English class, which English wasn't my favorite subject, but I actually talked about a poem called Atrophy by Julia Corpus. And one line really stuck with me. It said that we are all bits of energy that gleam with infinite possible gestures. And that statement really stood out to me because it is true. We define our own version of success by creating it with our own skills. Society cannot tell you nor anyone that their opportunity for success is limited, because it is ultimately up to you to create your success in life. Wow, that is so powerful. I'm like, I cannot believe I wrote this 4 years ago. It is ultimately up to you to create your success in your life based on the infinite possibilities you have. We are all unique with different goals and aspirations, so of course we have different accomplishments. Just imagine how uninspiring the world would be if everyone walked the same path. I mean, it would get crowded pretty fast, but luckily it's not like that. We all live different lives with various achievements that define our progress. It's almost like the speech is like coming back to me, even though I wrote it 4 years ago, it's like it's coming back to my brain a little bit. That is a very powerful statement. I love that quote I included in here. Bits of energy that gleam with infinite possible gestures. That is so true. We all have so much potential in our lives, and just like this said, these bits of energies, and we get to choose how we gleam, and we have these infinite possible gestures, infinite possibilities for how we want to use our energy. That is a very powerful quote. I'm really happy I included that and found that. Okay, then we move on to a little bit of a story time here. So I said, now I know it is cliche to say that you can do anything you put your mind to, and although in a perfect world, it would be pretty awesome if you could. Like, imagine just setting your mind towards something and instantly achieving it. I do think you can really set your mind to something and achieve it. Not instantly, but I think you can. I set out 4 years ago to create something for myself in the content creator space. And 4 years later, I have been able to do that. I had a goal of going to post-secondary. 4 years later, I'm nearing the end of my degree. It is possible. It just takes time, it takes energy, and it takes effort, but it is possible. I said, but in real life, that is not the case. The thing is, there are obstacles and there are conflicts that hinder us from achieving our goals. But the way each and every one of us chooses to overcome such conflicts allows us to learn and to grow as people. I like that because there are conflicts and obstacles. Wow, for me, I remember during COVID, I was so done with school. I was at a point where I'm like, what am I even doing? I felt so lost because this was the first time in my life that I experienced, this lack of academic validation. And it really gave me a bit of an identity crisis. And I'm very happy I was able to kind of overcome that. But yeah, we are faced with these conflicts. A lot of the times, these internal conflicts that we really have to overcome ourselves. Even though there are elements keeping you from reaching your goals immediately, nothing is impossible if you are dedicated to knocking down every closed door that comes your way. And that is the important thing. Wow, I'm still so shocked about these words that I put on this paper, because it is really up to you to knock down all those doors. And if you do that consistently over and over, nothing can be in your way because you are just taking down every obstacle that comes at you. Wow. I talked about how we all have these shared experiences, feeling lost at times. And I think that's a very common feeling for anybody in their 20s. So I'm glad I touched on that as well, because I said that some of us might have post-secondary plans like I do, but if you're still figuring out what you want to do later in life, I said that's totally okay. We are young, and again, life is a journey full of possibilities that we have time to focus, reflect, and grow as individuals to really understand what we need to become. That is powerful as well, because again, so many of us feel this societal pressure to go to post-secondary, and I don't think that necessarily that is the plan for everyone. Look at how many successful people there are in the world who didn't go to post-secondary, and then look at how many successful people are in the world that did go to post-secondary. So it's really a unique experience of what our definition of success is. And I said taking that time to find what we need to become, because I do think all of us have a purpose that we are going to find and work towards, and that is something I can still really resonate to this day. Now, this next part, I definitely gasped in watching my valedictorian speech from 4 years ago because I mentioned the quote I used, which was a quote by Drake. And I said that I said, I have a quote for you, and this is one of my favorite artists, one that I would listen to in times of excitement and even times of stress. Drake once said, "Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination." And it is so crazy looking back at this and hearing myself say, Drake is one of my favorite artists because I just went to a Drake concert 2 weeks ago with a skincare brand that I love because of the job I do. How crazy is that? How full circle is that? I didn't even think about that. I literally mentioned Drake in my graduation speech 4 years ago, and I just went to a Drake concert with a brand because of the job I am doing today, because of the hard work I put in to get myself to where I am today. If that is not a full circle moment, I don't know what is. And if that doesn't show you to work, just keep working towards your goals and just knock down those doors that come your way, I don't know what else will. And then I went on to say we all have some sort of journey, long-term or short-term goals that we are pursuing in life. We may not know what our final destination is, but through these many journeys, we learn more about ourselves. And I think that's the most important thing. Is I think in life, we all chase these destinations, right? We are like, okay, I'm going to get this degree. And then once we get that, it's like, okay, now what? So it's like we have to focus less on these end goals and destinations and rather on the journey that we're going on and how that is actually helping us evolve as people. And then I went on to say I wanted to become a teacher, then a lawyer, then an architect until I decided on engineering. The amount of times I changed my mind scared me, as I was worried I would never be able to find my passion. And to be honest with you, this was a true worry I had because I really just didn't feel like I found my passion. I always in life was interested in so many things. I danced, I did music, I did sports, I did cosmetology. I was really good academically, but I was like, okay, but what is the thing for me? And I think even now, entering this world of engineering, I'm like, okay, I like it and I'm good at it, but is it me? Does it feel like me? And truly the only thing that has felt purely like me and something that I can feel my passion just explode in is this art of content creating, public speaking, inspiring people. This makes my soul happy, and I really think I finally found the thing that I'm meant to do, and I'm so happy that I'm able to just keep chasing this along the way. Then I said, during these 3 years, referring to high school, you grow and learn so much about yourself, and yes, there have been times where we focus on these standards that society puts on us rather than the true purpose of it all. But we must reflect back and realize that at the end of the day, all that matters is the actions and the meanings of our stories and how they've shaped our lives. That's what makes us the people we are. Wow, very powerful, young Lavinia, very powerful. I think that is so true because it's not just these titles we have of success that define us. It's our stories, it's the memories we have, it's the journeys we walk. Then I went on to say that we all grew up thinking of our world as our oyster, and I think what I meant by that is I go into detail saying, to become an astronaut, a fairy princess, or the king of the world. And I think as kids, we really think of these just ultimate possibilities of what we can be, right? There's no boundaries, there's no standards, there's nothing that can come in the way of your dream as a kid, right? But then I go on to say, but as we got older, we began to realize that this may not be what actually happens. You might say that children are oblivious to the harsh realities of the world, but you do have infinite possibilities. And the reason I said this here is because I wanted people to think back to their childhood and the mindset they had as a kid about not letting the barriers and conflicts in life and standards stop you from doing what you want to do in life. So go back to that inner child feeling of I can do anything I put my mind to, and, think of that. So then I went on to say, come back to the mindset you may have had while watching your favorite cartoon character make their dreams come true. There will be conflicts and changes in your path, and you may lose your passion, but it's so crucially important to come back, reflect, and continue fighting for your dreams. That's powerful. And I bolded and highlighted a bunch of words on here that I was like, you need to hit that. As you take steps towards your goals, you will stumble upon other open doors that may change your destination along the way, but that's life. Wow. And looking at my life now, I set out to do this degree in engineering, and I thought that was the full path I was going to go on, but now I've kind of, I'm still pursuing that, but I've kind of diverged from that a little bit and taken on more of this career as a content creator, and now I just launched my own brand, something I never thought would happen, right? And I talk a lot about this brand because it's a men's skincare line, which I never thought I would get into the world of men's skincare. And I'm really happy I did, but this opportunity came my way, this door opened for me while on my engineering internship where I met my business partner, and that door was never in my plan, so I really like that I talked about this when I was 17 because it's so true, and I'm seeing that unfold before my eyes as I am, entering my early 20s here, so that's super cool. I said nothing is set in stone, and the actions we take change our outcomes day by day. We hold the power to choose the path we walk on, and as we cross difficult bridges, we become stronger and learn about ourselves and the places we are striving to reach. That's very powerful as well. I talk a bit about my classmates and the different talents that I witnessed while I was at the high school. For example, like karaoke and fundraisers and championships, musicians, the athletes, and even turning a flood in the parking lot into our own personal lake for tubing. This is a memory I definitely remember. Our parking lot got so flooded that people brought like floaties and stuff, and we're like having a lake day in the parking lot. It was really funny. Okay, then I talk about math, and I said this before, I was a huge math nerd, but I didn't realize to what extent I was such a big nerd back when I was 17, because I said, if you know me personally, you know that I am in love with math. It makes me giggle now because I don't think I love that math that much anymore. I could honestly do math problems night and day. Oh, this is making me crack up. Okay, one of my favorite analogies for life is referring to absolute value. I actually kind of forgot I made this analogy. So absolute value is basically the distance you are away from zero. So, for example, if you are at -5 or 5, the absolute value is still 5 and 5. It does not matter if it is in the negative or positive direction. And it was nice listening to this part of my speech because I honestly did not remember it. And I said, putting this into perspective of our lives, we are all numbers on that number line, and our starting points are all different. And yes, in life, we may go in either direction, talking about, we may go in the negative direction, we may go in the positive direction. But I said, but maybe it's time to start focusing on the lessons we learn from our journey in both directions, because all that matters is the distance we are away from where we started. I like that analogy that I made there because, sometimes we just focus on these like set milestones, but it's like we don't take the time to actually think, okay, where did I start and where am I now? For example, like I pointed out with like my YouTube channel, a lot of times I think, oh, I'm still not at 1 million like subscribers, or I still haven't hit 500,000 subscribers, but it's like, or I'm only at 160,000 subscribers. But then when you look at where you started, 4 years ago when I wrote this speech, I was at 9,000 subscribers. And I know I've already said this, but I'm really honing in on this point. And now, 4 years later, I have increased that number to 160,000, plus expanded my network onto TikTok, Instagram, doing this podcast. Like, you can't just focus on like, okay, where am I now? And kind of having these set goals in your head. You really have to think, okay, where am I now? And where did I start? And give yourself that recognition. I think that's really important. So I love that I made that math analogy, as nerdy as that is. I love that because it was really true to myself then. So, oh, that's so cute. I love it. Okay. I said we're all at different places in our lives, of course, but as a collective, we've all gotten here today. And then I talked about, getting through the 12 years of all the hard work and memories and laughter and all of the many, many tears that maybe coursework has caused us. And here comes the end of my speech. So I said, I know that in every graduation speech, people always say that this is just the beginnings of our journey, but it truly is. The diploma that will be in your hand soon is just another stepping stone in our path across the river of life. And it is our journey. Each of us taking that step. Isn't that incredible? Cute. However way you got to where you're sitting today, you have done it. I'm happy I made that point because I think for a lot of people, they start to compare themselves to the person sitting next to them and how they got there. But you really have to think like, I got myself here today, and I'm sitting here today because I did something, which in this case was graduating high school, but it really goes on to further parts in life as well. Although we have our own unique story and identity, together we make up Centennial High School's class of 2019, the one and only class of 2019 at Cent. Oh, now if that's not amazing, I don't know what is. That part's a little cliche, but it was cute. So let us take this moment, appreciate ourselves for all our hard work and for our high school accomplishments and for all the amazing possibilities to come. Our futures will lead us towards various unknown destinations, but let us not forget our time together, our memories, growth, achievements at Centennial High School. Congratulations to us all. We deserve it. I wrote, say it with passion at the end there. Wow. That is really cute. And a lot of those words so hit me like, boom, right in the chest today. I wasn't expecting, I don't think, to feel this way after this. I was like, oh, I'll just watch this. It'll be a nice little, trip down memory lane. I might as well film it for the podcast so you guys can hear it as well, because I never put this speech out there. I never posted it. It's kind of nice that I honestly never listened to this after I graduated, because there were so many times that I'm like, oh, I should post this on YouTube. And I was thinking, like, why did I never post it? And like, look, there's always a reason. I was able to make this podcast episode out of it and reflect on it, almost 5 years later, which is, I think, really special. Hearing it for the first time, it kind of brought this all back, and, seeing the words on the paper and hearing the speech, with different eyes, 5 years later, I think that's a really special thing. So I'm happy that I was able to experience that. And I don't think, I would have had the same reaction to this if I had watched it multiple times or even once after doing it. So, yeah, I'm kind of happy I didn't watch it ever since. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I know it was a little bit different, but hopefully, you got something out of it. Let me know what you thought of my graduation speech. Let me know what you thought of this type of episode where I kind of reacted to, my valedictorian speech from quite a few years ago. But I love you guys all so much. I would love to have a conversation in the comments of this YouTube video if you are interested in any of these topics or want me to deep dive more into any of these topics in a future episode. I would love to do that as well. But if you did enjoy this episode, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the Loud Talk with Lavi YouTube channel. We do post every single Sunday at 7 a.m. on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all streaming services. And if you are listening in on a streaming service, make sure to rate this podcast a 5 out of 5 stars and nothing less, of course. But of course, remember to tell yourself something you love about your skin today. Remember to continue to break down the walls of standards one flaw at a time. Any societal standards that you are facing, you got this, and you have the power to define those own standards in your life. So I encourage you to take the words from 17-year-old Lavi today and hopefully apply some of those things to your life, because I think we really hit some important topics today. But I love you all so much. Thank you so much for your time today in today's episode, and you'll hear from me in the next episode of Loud Talk with Lavi. Bye, everyone.